Well, today's episode is going to be a bit more interesting and fun at the same time. As you know, the Best of the Super Juniors has concluded who is in the semifinals of the B block, which is so exciting because we're getting closer and closer to the epic conclusion who's going to walk out as the winner of this year's Best of the Super Juniors. But also, as you know, AEW Dynamite had their final go home show before we head to Double or Nothing. We're going to see what exactly take place. We do have, of course, the AEW International title on the line. Orange Cassidy defends it against Aussie Open's Kyle Fletcher. And of course, the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles are also on the line. The Lucha Brothers defended against the members of the Blackpool Combat Club, Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli, and we got plenty other things. But first things first, we're going to review Stardom's last show of the Golden Week Fight Tour. This time, their last stop was at Osaka, Japan, which is going to be very, very interesting. So, we also got some news updates. We definitely going to be sharing what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events are taking place, who's booked in those events, if there's any other injuries from wrestlers we know they had injuries, and whatnot. So let's get started with another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with Stardom. This was their final stop of the Golden Week Fight Tour in Osaka. This took place on the 9th of May. And I think this was close before we head to New Blood 8. Now, our opening match, of course, starts with a three-way, as always. We have newcomer rookie Saya Sakura versus Saki Kashima versus Waka Tsukiyama. Now, this was a very interesting match. Now, recently we have been seeing a bit of, how do I say, disrespect from Aya Sakura to Waka. Now, Sakura recently, before and prior before New Blood, considered Waka annoying. But here's the best part: Sakura refuses to shake her hand, but she was able to shake hands with Saki Kashima. But Waka tried to plead with her, don't trust her. Now, it's true that Saki Kashima cannot be trusted, but for whatever reason, Sakura refuses to listen to her senior, despite the fact that she is Waka's junior. That it's kind of very interesting how the story is between these two now. But of course, do you think that Waka was right? Of course, because Sakura got the Kishikase by Kashima, but Waka was not pleased with the fact that Sakura refuses to listen to her. Now, I don't know what exactly Waka did to make Sakura be disrespectful for her, but it seems like recently there have been people who commented about they're no longer fans of Waka or something like that. I'm like, that's kind of interesting. But whatever the case is, I don't know. But I know there's more to what's going on with between those two. I think it's really interesting of a storyline where Waka's now feeling disrespectful by her insubordinate. But we'll see what happens then. Now, our next match, we have, of course, tag team. The other rookie, we have Hanako. She teams up with Yuna Mizumori to take on Quiz Quest, Miyu Imasaki, and Lady C. It's interesting because, as you know, this was a bit of a warm up between both Hanako and Lady C, since they both already scheduled a team up against Starlight Kid and Karma for the tag titles. But it was pretty good. However, Hanako almost could have beaten her, or could not, was on the same level fighting with Lady C, but it was Lady C who has a bit more of the experience than Hanako, where she applied the giant backbreaker, forcing her to tap out. Now, our next match, we have Wingori from Stars, Saya Ida, and Ahana taking on DDM's Mai Sakurai and Tekla. Now, as you know, this is a very good match. Saya Ida applied a lot of her power and strength into this match, but however, it was just too much for her until she was laid flat on the mat, leaving Sakurai with, of course, the diving elbow drop to finish the job. And of course, as always, the so-called lady Sakurai decided to do a little her thing. Next up, we got Oedo Tai, consistent of Ruka, Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid, and Natsuko Tora taking on Club Venus, Mariah May, Xena, Jessie, and of course Mina. But of course, like any other way, Oedo Tai once again attacked what's their Club Venus out of the blue, tried to outsmart them. There's some moments where Starlight Kid, who was really being the smart one, tried to outsmart her opponents every moment it takes. Now, there were moments, of course, where Club Venus tried to turn around, but as always, whenever we see Oedo Tai, nothing compared like the House of Torture, but Oedo Tai has a way to distract the referee. But however, Xena suffered the fate when she got a pipe right in the abdomen by Natsuko Tora, but in the process got the Swanton Bomb, allowing for Oedo Tai win. This is a huge disappointing loss. Majority of the time of this tour, Club Venus were unable to pick up a lot of wins. They only had one win so far, but a majority of their wins are all majority of their matches, all losses, and very huge disappointing for not only Club Venus but for Mina since she started this thing. Next up, we got Queen's Quest, consistent of Kamitani, Hayashida, and Azumi taking on Godzai, Suri, Amisore, and Mirai. Now, these two teams, there are two of the strongest units, but of course, there were going to be like deja vus between both Umatani and Suri. If you guys remember, it was Suri who dethroned uh, Hayashida back in 2021 for the belt, and it was interesting. However, it was of course the torture rack by Hayashida onto who was it? Onto Ami Suri to pick up the win for Queen's Quest. Our next match we have, of course, is Mei Seita teaming with once again Suzuki to take on DDM's Mafia Bella, consistent of Tekla and Julia. This is, of course, another interesting moment. I know the entirety people were hoping. There was a back of my mind thinking that somehow Julia would convince Zuzu to join DDM, but I don't know. But the interesting part is, you probably would have thought in the minds that Suzy already had maybe a win over them before, but however, in this case, it was Julia who picked up the win with the glorious driver onto Mei Seita, giving them the win. Now, our main event, we have, of course, star members Koguma, Azuki, and Mayu Iwatani. They take on the Cosmic Angels, Saori Inoi, Natsupoi, and Tam Nakano. But what this was a little fun, interesting moment to happen. You know, Koguma, she is doing the bear pose every single time. She was trying to get, of course, Saori Inoi to do the bear pose, but she was more like, I'm not doing that shit. So it was that kind of attitude. But of course, Tam Nakano and Natsupo were not willing to help her out because it was more like, you got to go through this process. We already been through this, so it was like that, like initiation, like it's time for you to do the bear pose. But of course, there were moments like she had no clue what Koguma was doing. But luckily, of course, her Tam and Natsupo actually did help her out. But it was a pretty good match. But it ended with Koguma getting on the wrong side. Yeah, of the violet screwdriver by Tam, giving them the win. But what's interesting is after the post match, the promo, Tam acknowledged that yes, she has a big match coming in, and she actually acknowledged now that they're undefeated in the Golden Week Fight Tour. But she also mentioned that she feels pretty good right now because she's 100% confident that, of course, she will win the Double Crown Championship, defeating Mina. Now, Mina, of course, was watching this from a distance. So, but I did stated this before. I highly doubt that this match will end with one of them winning both belts. Even certain people I have been hearing on Twitter, they said the same thing, that they believe this match has to end in a time limit draw. There's no way Stardom's going to um, give them a short period of time with their respected belts. But however, Natsupoi thought of another idea happening. She did stated that she would like to defend the artist belts, and Sarunoi kind of had no clue what she was referring to, but later she realized, okay. And then, of course, who was going to step up? The ones who stepped up was none other than DDM, with Julia, Mai Sakurai, and of course, Tekla. Now, Julia, as you know, had always had issues towards people from her past. She even questioned, why did you join the Cosmic Angels? So basically, I don't know. Some people think that Sorionoi is going to betray Tam, but I think Sorionoi is playing mind games with Julia, because if you guys remember clearly, Julia did not like the idea of Maya Yuhiki being in Stardom. What if it's the same kind of scenario with Saito Inouye? Besides, she did beat her twice outside of Stardom, but who knows? So basically, this match is going to take place at May 27 at Ottawa Ward. So that's going to be interesting to follow. And I think that's pretty much it right now with Stardom. So let's move on with New Japan Pro Wrestling with the Best of the Super Juniors. Okay, as I stated before, we're getting closer and closer to the conclusion of the Best of the Super Junior. However, we did concluded who is now in the semifinals of the A block. But however, who is going to be in the semifinals of the B block? So this is what we're going to talk about. So before we do all of that, let's talk about the matches prior before those tournament matches. Our opening match, we have of course the Young Lions. Well, never mind. We have Yuto Nakashima, the Young Lion, teaming up with Leo Rush. They take on Oscar Lobe and Mike Bailey. So this is a very interesting. Now keep in mind it was Mike Bailey who defeated Leo Rush that ended up in the advance in the semifinals. So it was pretty interesting to see that. However, in this particular match, it was Mike Bailey with the high cross body onto Nakashima that allowed them to win. But however, the Young Lions decided to get down, and of course, Leo and Mike decided to separate them. Basically, try to come on, guys, it's over. We don't need to do this now. But you know for a fact they would definitely want that. Now, our next match we have, of course, just 5 guys. More consistently with Taka Michinoku, Doiki, and Taichi taking on the members of House of Torture, uh, Sho, Yujiro Takahashi, and Evil. Um, I have to say this was a very interesting matchup because last time we did see Sho costing Doiki a chance for an opportunity to advance of point system that he wanted to do from last year. But Sho is a little prick from what we've seen so far. But however, as always, the House of Torture like to play dirty tricks, and of course, Evil applied the everything is evil on Taka Michinoku. But however, House of Torture may have won the match, but it was Doiki who had the last laugh. Now, last time the Sho threw Doiki through the trash, so he decided, I'm going to take you to the trash. And he got away with it completely. Basically, he got what he wanted. He humiliated Sho in front of everybody. Even people saw this. So now, Sho is so embarrassed that he should have known better. Don't piss off Doiki. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a feud between those two, but that's going to be interesting to see. Even Kevin Kelly enjoyed. I like Doiki. He did exactly what he was going to do. So now our next match, we have an interesting tag match. We have Ryosuke Taguchi and Kushida teaming up. Cannot remember the last time they actually teamed up, but they take on Lij's Hiromu Takahashi in Titan. I thought this match was very fun because there was a moment, of course, Titan let Hiromu do things on his own. I thought it was really funny, but it was pretty good. But however, it was Titan with the El Immortal double stomp onto Taguchi that allowed him to pick up the win for his team. Now let's get to our B block matches. Our first match we have Francesco Akira versus Bushi. Now, people gave Francisco Akira high praises for an awesome match he had with Desperado not a couple of days ago. I thought it was a pretty good one, but he has to go against Bushi. But he has to have a game plan because, as you know, Bushi is a bit of a dangerous wrestler you don't want to be in the midst of. But however, there were moments where Akira did not lock exactly what he needed. It gave Bushi the opportunity to apply the cross knee bar, giving him the win when Francisco Akira tapped out. He should have known better what he was doing. I mean, I know that TJP has taught him a lot of things, but looks like he screwed up. I mean, Francisco Akira is a bit of a hothead, but that's his own fault for trying to act this way. Our next match we have is Clark Connors versus Dan Maloney. Man, this one was a real slugfest. Clark Connors attacked Dan Maloney before he was coming out. They were not taking this. The bell hasn't rung. Clark Connors was trying to soften Dan Maloney in every way possible. I thought it was pretty interesting, but however, it was Dan Maloney who was able to outsmart Clark Connors and gave him a count out. But you probably can tell by the look of Clark Connors, this thing between and Maloney is far from over. I'm sure he's going to get his level of revenge for not, having the necessary points that he needs in order to finish off the tournament. Our next match, we have Kevin Knight versus Master Wato. I thought this was a pretty fun match. I mean, as you know, Wato is very highly, skilled. Kevin Knight, we know he has gained a lot of momentum, not only because he's one half of the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, but it was pretty fun. However, it was, of course, Master Wato with the Sutenkaku German onto Kevin Knight, giving them win. And of course, I'm sure that Kevin Knight really wants to have another crack at Master Wato. However, it was already announced that Master Wato had 14 points and he advances into the semifinals. But the obvious question does tell, who is he going to face? Well, we'll get to that right now. Our next match, we have Yoshinobu Kanemaru versus Yo. Last time these two have been facing each other, Kanemaru has been trying to cut the legs off of Yo many times over, even in preview matches that we see. But however, it was a leg cross submission clutch that forced Yo to tap out, giving Kanemaru the win. I wouldn't be surprised either if we do get another, another feud between these two. That would be something interesting. Now, our main event, we have Robbie Eagles versus El Desperado. Now, people anticipated that Robbie Eagles could mainly make it all the way through, but he has to go against a wrestler he has faced before and beat for the title once before as well, Desperado. I thought this match was pretty amazing, because Desperado has shown why he is the best in the junior heavyweight division in New Japan. But it took El Desperado with the submission numero dos to force Robbie Eagles to force him to quit, and it was over. And later it was revealed that now in the semifinals it's going to be Desperado versus Master Wato. Both of them walk out with the necessary points of 14. So that kind of sets it right there for everyone. So I can't wait to see how this is going to go. I think there's a lot of heavy favorites in there. There's people that are saying that possibly Desperado could walk out as the winner of the B block. But to me, I feel like they should try to go with Master Wato, since he is someone we haven't seen yet who is yet to earn a singles run. That's what I think. But we'll see what happens then. I think our next Best of Super Junior event will be on Friday. So we'll see what happens then. Let's move on with our final review, and I believe this one is AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite. This is their go home show before we head to Double or Nothing this Sunday, which we're all excited for. Now, our opening match is the AEW International Championship. Orange Cassidy defends it against Kyle Fletcher. I thought this was a pretty fun match because the one thing I did like is how Kyle Fletcher wasted no time with Orange Cassidy. He immediately wanted to finish him off, but he underestimates Orange Cassidy. He feels that he may not be a fighting champion due to the fact that, yes, he has like 20 plus wins. That's impressive. but he feels that the international title should be worthy to a someone who's international like himself since he's Australian. So that kind of sets it in right there. But everything he did to put away Cassidy was no good. But it took Cassidy an opportunity with a cross leg roll up onto Kyle Fletcher unexpectedly for him to retain the title. But now Orange Cassidy will walk into the Blackjack Battle Royal where he will face 20 others to see who will try to dethrone him. That is going to be a real interesting thing to watch. Now, Renee Paquette conducted an interview with Ricky Starks. Now, he feels like he did exactly what he did the last time when he whacked Jay White with the chair, but it was already been told that he's going to walk into the Blackjack Battle Royale, feeling that what he did, that it's finally over between him and Bullet Club Gold. But however, Bullet Club begs to differ. They attack him, saying that they're going to make his life a living hell. So I don't know how Orange Cassidy's going to, Ricky Starks is going to deal with this. But if I was him, I'll definitely try to have some backup just in case or something. Now, next up, FTR walks into the ring. Now, the last couple of weeks, let's call the dickwads, or Jarrett, Lethal, Dutt, and Singh, along with Miss Jarrett. They've been causing nothing but problems, like trying to convince Mark Briscoe to do the right thing and convince him to side with them because they've been targeting the AEW tag team titles. But what I did like is how Dax Harwood called all Jarrett, Lethal, and Dutt TNA rejects, uh, and he said call the Queen of the Mountain. Now he wasn't referring to Karen Jarrett; he was referring to Dixie Carter. And I thought Dax was being so cold blooded on that. I thought it was great. However, Mark Briscoe, who had enough of this crap, even he shoved Dax Harwood, but however, he even shoved Karen Jarrett, um, Sanjay Dutt, even punched Jeff Jarrett, but he also told Lethal that he had enough of this crap. So basically, he's not going to play any favorites. Right now, it's real. The dickwads, in the other hand, feel like they're concerned that everything they work for to ensure they walk away with the tag titles is falling apart. So the obvious thing is now they know that Briscoe had just had enough of this BS from both sides. So we'll see what happens at Double or Nothing. Now, once again, as we walked into, we're heading to Double or Nothing as the four-pillar match for the AEW title is going to be our big main event that we're going to take place. Sammy Guevara was asked by Renette asking, will he take the dive to get a big paycheck by MJF? His response, hell no. But, I've always felt like Sammy Guevara, people had doubted him, that he's always been the kind of guy who will just do the right thing and do what he's told. I mean, I remember in the vlogs, what was it, a couple years back when he was working as a Rosebud, people didn't see him that pro wrestling was his future, so they just told him that he's better off just quitting pro wrestling and getting a regular day job. But he just didn't listen. He just felt like people always told him, do the right thing. I mean, the obvious question is it the right thing for them or the right thing for you? That's the thing that bothers, because us in real life, we have deal with people saying they think they know what's best for all of us. I mean, people try to assume what's best for us without realizing we know what's best for us because we follow our heart, we follow our dreams, what we want to do. And I think Sammy is like that inspiration that tells us, I'm going to pursue my dream whether you like it or not. So I commend Sammy on that a lot. Our next match is the open house challenge for the AEW World Tag Team titles. We have the House of Black taking on R.A. Fox, Blake Christian, and Matilda. Now, you probably think that there's going to be an interesting matchup. Well, it was interesting, but you can guarantee that this match did walk away with the House of Black winning the match when, of course, the Texas Cloverleaf by Buddy Matthews onto R.A. Fox forced him to tap out and allowing for, of course, the um, House of Black to win. However, we do get a little interesting video coming up next with the Blackpool Combat Club. Danielson announced as saying that later on in the main event, Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli will have one objective to complete, which is to become the brand new ROH World Tag Team Champions, but also at Sunday to walk out as the winners of the Anarchy in the arena. So that's two objectives right now. But of course, Moxley has made it perfectly clear that he and the rest of the BCC are the elite. But we highly doubt that they're not. Now, MJF comes out as the promo, seems like things were not falling apart. But however, MJF comes out, no, Darby Allin comes out, talks about, you know, how the struggles he had and all this and that, that's always been the case. But however, as always, MJF being the despicable that he is, he low blowed Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara comes out. So basically, should MJF be worried now? Because as you know, he has three competitors that will be at the same time in a ring with them, so he has to be more careful what he needs to do. Now, Warlow had an interesting message to send to Christian. Probably you can guess that he's going to get Powerbomb Symphony one way or the other, but he's well prepared what's going to happen in the ring because, as you know, Christian innovated part of the ladder matches back in the day, so Warlow has to be on his game plan for that. Now, our next match, we have Tail Valkyrie versus Lady Frost. I was happy to see Lady Frost on television, first time ever, but it was a pretty good, important match, not only for these both ladies, not because, Tail Valkyrie is going to, how do I say, walk in to face Jade Cargill for the TBS title, but that's it. But of course, Jade Cargill was watching. They were rooting for Lady Frost to defeat Tail Valkyrie, but of course, like any other match, Tail Valkyrie applied the Road to Valhalla, finishing off the match. But however, now that she's back, that particular move is now legal. Basically, they cannot exactly. So basically, Jade Cargill has to be more concerned knowing that now that Valkyrie is back and she's a pose of a bigger threat now. Now, Tony Khan, as you all know, made a big announcement taking place where, as you know, there's going to be a brand new show for Saturday called AEW Collision. The first show will take place on June 17th, and surprise, surprise, in Chicago. Now, I know a lot of people have been speculating what's going to happen in Chicago. We just got to wait and see until we get there. We cannot confirm if that's really 100% true, but we'll just wait and see. Now, our next interview, Alex Marvez talks to Hangman Page. As you know, Hangman Page is back. He reunited with the Elite, but he talks about he did consider the Bucks like really close friends. But Kenny, he doesn't consider him, but he does consider Kenny as family because the Elite has always been family. I mean, we had some great moments with these guys for a long time, before AEW was ever been formed. But we'll see what happens when we get to Double or Nothing for the Anarchy in the arena. Now, we did have a very interesting contract signing. Now, keep in mind, there's going to be an unsanctioned match that's going to take place. AEW is not responsible for the well-being of both Chris Jericho and Adam Cole. Now, Adam Cole hasn't forgotten what happened with Britt Baker thanks to Jericho. However, Jericho is 100% confident that he thinks things are going to go his way because he has the number games. But however, Adam Cole had an ace up his sleeve because since Dynamite was in Vegas, he called in someone he said he idolized as growing up, and he said that this guy is homicidal, suicidal, and genocidal, and Taz knew exactly who he was referring to. We're talking about Sabu. Jericho looked like he was seeing a ghost, and everybody in the JSA couldn't believe sure what to make of it. But sadly, of course, moron Matt Menard got chaired in the face. So basically, Sabu will be in the corner of Adam Cole at Double or Nothing. But however, because of this situation, everybody had to leave due to the fact that Roderick Strong will be facing Daniel Garcia. I thought this was another good match to enjoy because Daniel Garcia has always claimed that he is the best sports entertainer. However, Roderick Strong is a very strong wrestler for what he can do. He did apply the and of Heartache onto Garcia, giving him the win. In our main event, we have the ROH World Tag Team titles. Um, BCC, Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli take on the Lucha Brothers. I thought this match was pretty interesting and very, very, how to say, brutal, because we know how dangerous, of course, the BCC can be. However, when things seems like the BCC had it under control, it was in fact the Young Bucks that cost them the tag titles. This was not something they planned, but they did help the Lucha Brothers retain the titles. Right now, the Bucks, who has been viciously attacked by these guys, now got into their heads. And of course, they did not take this kindly, but in the end, they say that they will make them go extinct one way or the other, making them that they are the elite in All Elite Wrestling. So we'll wait till then. Right now, I think we're done with every review we got. I believe we have to move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. Um, First things first. Now, since I talked about AEW, I failed to mention this. Watching AEW, it's now been announced that Aussie Open is all elite. That's right. Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher now has exclusive contracts with AEW. This is something that I think many people did not expect, but I hope they were hoping that something like this, because if you guys know this, they've been working with New Japan Pro Wrestling without contracts. That's always been what we've been hearing, but now they seem, but it's great for them. We're probably going to be seeing them more often. But as you know, Mark Davis is currently out on injury. It was foretold recently that his surgery was paid by none other than TK, who's been very kind to every wrestler he gets to meet. And I think that's what many people could never understand. Why would Tony Khan would do that? Simple. He wants to be a good person to show that he cares, that he listens, and not to mention see how valuable the wrestlers can be. Now, WWE has there's been uh talk about WWE doing a live show in India that could take place in September. Now, I know they did an India show about 2 years ago or so. I know they have strong ties with India. It would be interesting to see a show in India. I mean, they did a good show in Puerto Rico recently, but we'll see how that turns out in India. GCW for their upcoming event this weekend, Lifestyle. There's been a match that's been announced. We have Boosie teaming up with this other person. They face against Los Macizos, along with John Wayne Murdoch. And then, of course, there's Jack Cartwheel, Starboy Charlie, and Titus Alexander. Or Alexander Titus, I don't know. Will be in a three-way trios match. Now, Spark has announced for their upcoming event, Ignite West, on the 16th of June. Delilah Doom will be participating in this show, so that's going to be good. For our final updates, this one's our articles that came out from Fightful Select. This one, I think these are two interesting ones that I did not know. As you know, Sky Blue mentioned this, that she would love for AEW to do an AEW women's tag team titles. I mean, this is something that I think many people feel that they should do, because I remember a while back, I think early this year, uh, Willow Nightingale said that if AEW was going to do a women's tag team titles, she would like to do it with Ruby Soho, but seems like that's going to happen. But for Sky Blue, says she would like to team up with Kiera Hogan if that's the case, because she looks at Kiera Hogan like a mom, since she has more experience than her, and their styles are almost similar from one another. I would say it would be a good choice, but it's only, we don't know when will it happen, but I would think it should happen, because I feel like with the WWE Women's Championship, that's always been a disaster at times. I don't know what they're doing with the NXT Women's Championship. Now they're in the main roster. I feel like they're doing things wrong with those titles, in my opinion, but we'll see. Now, you guys remember this guy, Zach Zodiac, or as you know him as Zach Knight. TK said that he booked him for a dark match, but however, he did not actually has a visa to come down here for that. However, he said that he has helped him to get one for himself. So we could see finally Zack Zodiac be in AEW. I mean, if you guys ever seen the movie Fighting for My Family, um, the struggles that of course Zack had to deal with. I mean, they picked his sister over him because he was well trained, well more popular. But however, they picked him. WWE did not even consider him. But now that WWE, yeah, WWE did not consider him that he was the right fit or the right person to join, but AEW could definitely give him an opportunity that WWE had failed to do at the time. I think many fans would like to see that. I mean, it's good to see that uh, he could be part of. Hopefully, see him appear more often at AEW. So we'll see what happens then. These are two articles that I find interesting from Fightful Select, so you should check it out. And I think that's pretty much it right now for everything. So I believe it's time to call it a day. Okay. Hope everybody enjoys this episode. I wasn't thinking about doing the Stardom one, but I did it because this was part of the Golden Week fight tour. I had to do it for the hell of it, but it was great that it did. Uh, but coming up for our next episode, I definitely have Impact Wrestling and ROH. I haven't decided there's going to be a new show, another review I want to do, due to the fact that I got something else going on. But we'll see how that goes for my day. Sometimes things may not go according to plan for me, but we'll just see what happens till then. I will be also releasing a very short Unagi Sayaka Watch episode. This one is a very interesting one for everybody to look at because I think some of you may have to question what's going on. But also, I'm going to be talking about a very interesting post match promo that took place during a Marvelous event. So I think that's pretty much it for everybody to know. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.